Hey, it's Bill Russell. I'm here in my yellow hat. I wore it at VIVE and Hymns to signify our partnership with Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation and the search for cures and to combat childhood cancer. I'm just blown away by the generosity of our community. With the help of our partners, Short Test, Rackspace, CTG, and some of you giving individually, we were able to raise close to $40,000 at those two events. It is just exceptional. And I would like to thank all of you who have joined us in this cause. If you would like to be a part of it as well, go ahead and hit our page, thisweekhealth.com. You can go to the top blue banner that is on our homepage and click on that to give today. Thank you again for being a part of this effort and this cause.
Today in Health IT, VIVE. We're here on the last day, and today we're going to talk about why VIVE was worth my time. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16 hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels and events dedicated to transform healthcare one connection at a time. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders: Sure Test, Artisight, Enterprise Health, Parlance, Certify Health, Notable, and ServiceNow. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. All right. Well, I just want to get right to it. Hey, by the way, I'm going to announce this later, but we've raised close to $10,000 at the VIVE conference for Alex's Lemonade Stand. We want to thank everybody who participated in Captain's campaign for cures. That takes us up over $26,000 for the year. We have an incredibly generous community, and we thank you for being a part of it. If you get to be a part of it and want to participate, a couple ways you can do that. Find us at HIMSS. We're going to do it again if you're there. But you know what? Quite frankly, just go to the page. Go to thisweekhealth.com, and at the top right-hand corner, you're going to see the Alex's Lemonade Stand logo. Click on that. Go ahead and put your donation in. Put a comment in there. I'd love to thank you for being a part of it. Charles Boyce gave a very generous donation at the VIVE conference and several others, and we appreciate that. All right, last thing. I'm going to keep pushing mentoring. Share this podcast with a friend or colleague. Use it as a foundation for discussion. Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, you're mentoring them when you're telling them, Bill is wrong and here's why he's wrong. They can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, here we go. So I want to talk about VIVE, and I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons it was worth my time. Not from an arrogant standpoint, but the top 5 reasons I think it's worth a CIO's time to be at a conference like VIVE. You know, I'm critical of these things. I'm critical of the carnival. I'm not a fan of the carnival. I see value in carnival or boat show, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't like the feel of it and those kinds of things. However, there's value, and I think there's value in coming together, and at times the more people you can bring together, the better it is, and that creates a carnival atmosphere. So while I'm critical of that, I will say there is value. Let me tell you some of the values. I'm going to do top 5. I'll do a countdown in reverse order. The first is fun. We have a very stressful job. If you are a healthcare leader, you have a stressful job. It's good to get away, right? Just from time to time, it's good to get away. It's good to have fun. It's good to go see Billy Idol if that's your thing. I did not go to Billy Idol. I apologize, but it's good to go to the carnival. It's good to enjoy things. It's good to see your friends. It's good to have a drink with some people you can release with, commiserate with, and those kinds of things. So it's good to have fun, right? That's number 5. And you're going to say, well, that's not worth it to my health system. Well, let me give you some other reasons for going. Number 4, give back. I talked to some health system leaders who admittedly won't get much out of the conference and choose not to come. And I'll agree, they probably won't get a ton out of the conference. They work at very great institutions. They're part of other groups. They get solid interaction with those groups. But I think there's this aspect of giving back, and their absence is felt. When they're not here, it is felt at the conference. I realize that you can't attend every conference, and there are a lot of options for you in this industry, and it's interesting. There are actually a plethora, and we're part of the challenge. We're introducing the 229 project meetings, which is another option out there. You have to choose. But I will say this, I believe there's an opportunity for you to put something in your calendar to give back. I also find the carnivals are a decent place to mentor the next generation. First of all, you can introduce them to a lot of people. You can walk the floor with them and do education there. You could sit in on panel discussions and have discussions with people. So I did a lot of mentoring at HIMSS back in the day. VIVE didn't exist back in the day, but the Chime spring and fall forums did, and I did mentoring in those situations. So fun and giving back. So that's 5, 4, 3. This is going to sound weird, but the hosted buyer meetings. This is about as respectful a way to do this that I've seen at these carnivals. 15 minutes, no strings attached. Check out the partner. Let them see if there's an opportunity. The risk is you get spammed. The upside is you may find a valuable new partner. Clearly, every year I hear mixed results on this, but I would say 80% of them are positive. 15 minutes. I heard one story, one CIO said, look, I met with competing vendors right in a row. So that way it was fresh. It was in my mind. I was asking them similar questions as I went along, and I learned things. So I was able to go from, in an area where they were trying to explore, they went from one vendor to the next to the next. Now, before, what you do is you go from booth to booth to booth, but sometimes when you go to the booth, you don't find the right person there. When you go to the hosted buyer meetings, they make sure that the right person is there and that you're talking to them. In some cases, it's an SE. In some cases, it's the actual developer of the solution and or the CEO or the owner. I mean, so some really good discussions happen that way. I mean, the 20% negative were, it's 15 minutes of your time. I mean, hey, there wasn't value. I didn't, whatever. They may not be buying at this time, but they wanted their ticket paid for. That's just a choice. That's a trade-off. But at the end of the day, I think if you do it right, it is a respectful way to do that. And generally, very positive feedback from both sides. I will say that there were, and this is number 2, there were some really good panel discussions. I saw Anish Chopra, Mickey Tripathi, Ashish Atreja talking about interoperability and AI transparency. It was a wonderful session. They're obviously excellent resources, incredibly smart. The back and forth between them was really good. And so that was an excellent discussion. Saad Chaudhry, Tressa Springman, Brian Sterud, Mari Savickas talking policy and AI governance was also really good. Now, I didn't sit through the whole thing. I was moving from place to place, but I got about 5 minutes of that. And it was a really solid discussion from them. So now, admittedly, again, I didn't see a ton of these panel discussions, but these were excellent. And I think you could have picked the ones that were relevant to you and gotten a fair amount out of it. And so now, even though it's in a carnival atmosphere, there is very good discussions going on around the floor. And if you seek them out, you're going to walk away with some insights as you do that. So that's number 2. And the number one reason, I'm very consistent on this, the number one reason to go to these is, and for me, it has value, is connection with your peers. I had several conversations with peers at this conference. Some I will only talk with twice a year, and others that we rekindled a need for more frequent discussions. I kicked up a bunch of new concepts to explore and collaborations that are going to lead to improvements at my organization and value to the industry. And I think that's the number one reason we go to these conferences. It is the connection with other people. And I'm excited. I would say, 4 or 5 of the discussions led to, hey, have you considered doing this at This Week Health? Or, hey, can I do something with you? I'd like to partner with you. And those kick off really interesting conversations as we explore those things. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what we're going to be able to bring to This Week Health. But that same thing happens for a CIO, right? You have a conversation with somebody. It starts by talking about Change Healthcare and what's going on in the cybersecurity world. And then they say something and it triggers a thought. And you're sitting there going, it's interesting you would bring that up. And then the other thing is you can have that honest conversation. You're not having the honest conversation on the panel discussion, and you're not having the honest conversation in a public forum. But when you're at that one-on-one and you can talk cybersecurity with that person across from you, you say, hey, we're really struggling with this. How are you guys handling that? Those are really valuable conversations that you have only a handful of ways to have those. Clearly, you could reach out to them, have a meeting call, or whatever you're going to do. But a lot of times you're not thinking about that person until they're right in front of you. You have that conversation, it triggers something, and then away you go. And so I think a connection with peers. So number 5, fun. Number 4, give back. Number 3, the connections with partners in a controlled environment, the hosted buyer meetings. Excellent panel discussions, probably pick up some things on areas that you may not be focused on right now, policy, what's going on in the government, governance, there's just a lot of stuff out there. And then finally, connection with peers and the value that just interacting with people and the discussions generates. That's why it was worth my time. I will say that if anyone from VIVE or the people at Health are listening, that the venue was not great. And they will get this feedback, I'm sure. The food was less than you would expect from a health conference. Los Angeles is probably not the best place to have a conference right now. It's also, when they go to Miami and Los Angeles, it is so far, I think they lose a section of the country when they do that. I think this is one of the reasons that Becker's goes to Chicago every time. There's several reasons they go there. I think it's one of the reasons that Hims had their comeback in Chicago. By the way, I'm not a huge fan of Chicago as a venue because I think McCormick's in a bad place and too far away from the hotels, so forth and so on. But Nashville is a really good place, and that's where it's going back to next year. I think it's the best venue that I've seen a VIVE meeting at. The health conference has been at different places. Boston wasn't a bad place, but again, it's on the coast. Vegas is not my favorite venue, but it works. It works well, and I went to a health conference in Vegas. I think the first one was in Vegas. Anyway, there's a lot better places to go than LA, and the food, they ran out of food on the first day. You had to walk quite a distance to get to the food. Usually the food is on the floor, and you get to hang out there and stay there. I don't know. These things are hard to put on. I will grant them that. They're hard to put on. It's hard to find the right venue. It's hard to strike the balance of attracting everybody. And sometimes when you go away from the coast, you lose the people on the coast. But anyway, I'm sure there's some other places to consider. Looking forward to Nashville. Great location. Last time it was there, it was excellent. So I don't know. Maybe I'll see you there. One last thing. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment and extend our thoughts and prayers to Jairus Williams, who's a team member at This Week Health. He had to leave the conference to be with his family. And I just want you to know that you are missed, and our thoughts and our hearts go out to you and your loved ones at this time. All right, that's all for today. Don't forget, share this podcast with a friend or colleague. I push you to mentor, but you can just talk about it with your peers, and it doesn't have to be a mentoring relationship. And maybe it's a way for you to connect with somebody and say, hey, let's listen to this and converse via text or whatever it happens to be. I think that would be great. We want to thank our channel sponsors who are investing in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders. SureTest, Artisight, Enterprise Health, Parlance, Certify Health, Notable, and ServiceNow. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.